What is up, everybody? We are back in the building. I was spending all this time doing a sound check to make sure the sound on this thing was perfect for all of you. So I know I was a little bit late. Please forgive me, but I can't be going out like I went out last time. So I had to take the time to double, triple, quadruple check to make sure everything was good. But we have a pretty good show because some crazy things have been happening over the weekend, and we have to discuss it. First and foremost, we had what I would like to call a presidential Pokemon battle. What is a presidential Pokemon battle, you might ask? Well, a presidential Pokemon battle is where the presidential candidates, the nominees, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, try to elicit the help of their most famous celebrity friends to try to get them over the hump when it comes to the election. In one corner, or on one side of it, well, they were both, I think, in Texas, actually, which is crazy. But in one corner, you had Kamala Harris, who chose her favorite Pokemon, her celebrity Pokemon, Beyonce, to come to one of her rallies, which didn't go as I think she may have planned it, but we're going to get to that later. And in the other corner, you had Donald J. Trump, who elicited the help of none other than Joe Rogan. Like, I guess we could call Rogan the podcast king at this point because, I mean, the dude's balling on a jumbotron. He's winning in every statistical category. He's making it look easy at this point, and everyone who's anyone is watching Rogan. I mean, the interview between Donald Trump and Joe Rogan is at, let me check because it jumps so like drastically every couple of hours. You don't want to say the wrong number. They are currently, if I could get to my doggone history, I need to get to my history. Let me see. The interview between Donald Trump and Joe Rogan is currently sitting at 29 million views in just one day. At this rate, it is projected to surpass what I think may have been the biggest interview of the year, which is the interview between none other than Shannon Sharpe and Cat Williams on Club Shay Shay. Now, I know y'all want to watch football and all that stuff. Do that if that's what you're into. But if you're going to hang with me for the next hour, we're going to go over some highlights from the interview, and we're going to talk about what happened with Kamala, and we're going to talk about how Charleston White disrespected or basically called out and made fun of the situation involving young Durk and him being arrested, Lil Durk, and him being arrested on murder for hire charges. First, we got to talk about this Trump interview because all the conspiracy theorists, all the people who have all these different ideas about what goes on with the government, this interview was for you. If you can choose to look at it and take it for what it was and have an understanding of the way our government works and the real aspects of our government that need to be fixed, the dysfunctions within our government that need to be fixed, or you can be dismissive, as many of us oftentimes are, with just baseless claims and statements. Oh, yeah, Trump's in on it. He ain't ever going to tell you the truth. But I have to say that when I listened to this interview, and I listened to the whole entire interview, all 3 hours of it, all 2 hours and 58 minutes of it. And when I tell you this was one of the best, most comprehensive interviews I've ever heard, I've never heard an elected official, especially the president of the United States, speak in such a way that to where I felt like Trump was bringing me along with him. Like I was experiencing, albeit secondhand, I was experiencing Trump's experiences with him as he reminisced about his time in the White House, what he liked about it, what he felt was wrong with our government, what he felt needed to be fixed within our government and the way we do things, I felt like I was right there. Trump is a really great storyteller, and he did not miss. He did not fumble when it came to the Joe Rogan podcast. What I took away from the interview was this. You have Trump, who is a businessman, running for president after being president from 2016 to 2020. And as president and a person who's not a career politician, Donald Trump came up against a machine, a well-oiled machine that is not operating at its highest capacity, right? As we know in Washington, there's a lot of bureaucracy and there's a lot of waste. One of the biggest problems with excessive waste is there are a lot of people getting rich off of that waste. And so if you're getting rich and making a lot of money from being wasteful and inefficient, and you're getting a lot of money off of making things run a certain way for the benefit of a certain group of people, in this case, the top 1%, if anyone comes in and wants to clean house, so to speak, and make things more efficient and productive, that person is going to get a lot of pushback from people who benefit from things being dysfunctional, who benefit from not running at the highest level of productivity, not running as efficient as is possible for something, an entity as big as the United States government. And in my opinion, that's exactly what Donald Trump ran up against. And that's what he's really fighting against. When he talked about the wasteful spending and how, certain things weren't done to their to maximum efficiency because there were people involved who benefited from running the government in somewhat of in kind of a haphazard way, I really connected with Trump. I really understood that Donald Trump is nothing more than a businessman trying to make a business that's been losing money for a long time profitable. And if there's any way to look at the Trump presidency, his candidacy, and his potential second presidency, if there's any way to look at that in an objective, unbiased way, all one need do is look at it in that context. Trump is a businessman trying to take a business that has been losing money for a long time, that hasn't seen a profit in a long time, from losing money to profitable. He's trying to take you from the red back into the black. And the United States is, in fact, a corporation. And corporations have to remain profitable for its employees to be able to retain their jobs, make money, and be able to feed their families, right? The United States is a corporation, but the employees are called citizens, so to speak, right? The United States has to be running at maximum efficiency. The United States has to be running in a way that is where waste and squandering of resources is very limited, so that its citizens can have an opportunity to build and thrive and raise families and find gainful employment. And that is what Donald Trump is trying to do. And in everything he said on the Joe Rogan podcast, it was very evident. He's not looking at this like he hates anyone. He's not looking at this like he loves anyone, so to speak. He's looking at it like, I've been given a job to do. I was given a job to do. I did the job. I want to get the job again because I think I'm the best person for the job. And if I get the job, you are going to see tangible results, evidence that I was the best person for the job. And I love that about Trump. I love that about this interview. And we are going to start getting into it. But that's the way I want you to look at this interview. Be objective. Be unbiased. This man is applying for a job. He wants the job of running our country, our company, so to speak. Is he or is he not the best qualified candidate to get that job done in the most efficient, expedient way possible? And that's really the question one need ask themselves. So I'm going to go to 46 minutes in the video. And this is where Trump talks about the government and the waste that like the wasteful way the government allocates our resources. And he talks about lowering the deficit and reducing debt. Shout out to Hakeem for hitting me with these timestamps, bro. Major difference. I appreciate that. So let me share this really quick. And I want you guys, I'm going to open up the airways in a minute because I want you to come up. I want to make this kind of like a call-in show. I want people to come up and just tell me what was their favorite part of the interview, if they watched it, what they took away from the interview. We're going to make this totally interactive. We're going to do something that Joe Rogan doesn't do. That's why you're here, right? You're here to see something that you can't find anywhere else. And what you're not going to find anywhere else, or at least I haven't seen it, you're not going to see a show where the person speaking is allowing people to call in and tell people tell the world, tell everyone listening what they thought about the interview. And I think that's really important. I think the American people deserve to express how they feel about things, especially about things concerning them that are being like done in their name, right? In their honor or their service. So we're going to play this. And guys, the link is in the comments. So if you want to come up and let me know what you thought, go right ahead. Here we go.
And high-speed internet everywhere you want to go.
And he wanted to do that.
And he wanted to do it.
How about this? They built the charger stations, right? In the Midwest. They built 8 of them. They cost $9 billion. That's like a gas pump, right? They built 9 gas pumps, except electricity comes out. They spent $9 billion. 3 of them don't work. The whole thing. There's so much waste. I could sit here and tell you about things that there's so much waste, abuse, and fraud.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I think everybody's aware of that.
Let's get back to tariffs.
When you're talking about one of the criticisms of your administration was with tax cuts and with tariffs, you increased the deficit. So what was the strategy behind that? And did you think it was going to increase the deficit by a substantial amount?
Okay. We were ready to rock. It was all, I had a bad system. We had horrible tax policy. I made it great with a much lower tax rate. So I took it from almost 40% down to 21%. Now I'm bringing it from 21 down to 15, but only if you make your product in the United States, which is great. People call me, they said, what a great idea. Nobody ever heard of that before. I don't care if they make the product in Japan. Why should I give them? So it's at 21. That at 21, in the first year, we took in much more revenue than we did at almost 40. Think of that. It inspired. Now we had other things too. We were able to get people to bring back their money. You couldn't bring back your money if you had money in Europe, like Apple. Apple had many billions of dollars outside. They couldn't bring it. There was no way to bring it back in. The bureaucracy, the documents, the whole thing, and also the tax was too high. They wanted like half of it or something. Nobody's going to do that. So they leave their money in Japan and they spend their money there. That was part of what I did. The money came pouring back in. Apple took in hundreds of billions of dollars. They brought it back from overseas. They brought it in.
So how does the deficit increase because of that?
So what happened is this. We were ready to rock and roll, and then we had the COVID thing, and we had to focus on that. And if we didn't give some businesses a hand, you would have had a depression like in 1929. But we were ready to start. We would have very shortly been paying off debt. We have $35 trillion in debt. And I'll never forget it. It was talking about from, the standpoint of being in office. I'm in the Oval Office and I have John McLaughlin and Fabrizio. They're 2 very good pollsters, probably, I don't know, I would say the 2 best, who knows, but very good pollsters. And we're starting to think about running for a second term. And we had the greatest economy in history. Never has there been an economy like
And you attribute that to lowering taxes and tariffs.
2 things. And also I cut regulations more than anybody else. And if I asked many of the businessmen, from the big companies, the guys running the big companies, I'd say, so if you had your choice, you've had it now for a long time. What's more important to you, the tax cuts, you paid less tax, or the regulation cuts. Every one of them said the regulation cuts meant more. Who would think that, right? Because you don't equate it to dollars, but it actually is more dollars. We had it going, and then we just had to focus on something else.
So basically what Donald Trump is talking about is when they talk about Trump's spending and what Trump was going to do and why, he raised the deficit and things like this. He's explaining it to you if you care enough to know. If you're really have issues with voting for Trump over the fact that Trump raised the deficit, and it's hard for you to understand how Trump is going to be any better than Biden if Trump also raised the deficit and Biden raised the deficit as well. Well, Trump's explaining it to you. We had everything ready to go. We gave the tax cuts to Americans. Yes, the rich did benefit from it mostly, but every single American on every level saw a tax cut. Like 90-something% of Americans saw a tax cut. Their taxes were lowered. But he's telling you, we had everything lined up. We got rid of the regulation. We gave the tax cuts. We basically created an environment that was conducive to doing business. And right when we were ready to roll, boom, COVID-19 hit. Right when we were ready to roll, the tariffs were working. We were whooping China's butt with the tariff war. They were paying freaking $16 a gallon for $16 for a gallon of milk. I remember seeing some things about the amounts they were paying for beef. Dude, they were paying like $14.99 or like ridiculous amounts of money for a pound of beef. We were kicking their butts in the tariff war, and just when they signed an agreement. They signed an agreement to pay the tariffs. They signed an agreement to stop like overtaxing American, to give America a little bit of access to their markets, all this stuff. And in the agreement, one of the stipulations for the agreement that would nullify the agreement was a natural disaster, a global pandemic or epidemic, something that had a massive impact on the entire globe. And was it a coincidence? All of a sudden, COVID-19 breaks out. Where does it come from? I'm not going to say the word, but they might block this video. But it comes from that place. You know what I'm saying? It's not a coincidence. But Donald Trump had us ready to go. He had us lined up for prosperity. And we were already feeling the effects of that. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, global pandemic. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not putting it on one group of people. Nothing even remotely like that. I'm just telling you, the man had a plan. He was implementing the plan. The plan was working, and it was derailed. And even during COVID, this country's economy saw positive growth. That's how you know everything, all the dominoes were lined up for prosperity. Because even when COVID hit, we continued to grow our economy continued to grow. One of the major reasons for that was Trump wasn't imposing lockdowns. He wasn't doing mandates. He wasn't doing all this authoritarian, totalitarian crap that the Biden administration did to the benefit of their corporate donors. But I want to move ahead to a spot in the video. I want to hold on. I want to go to this part. I think this was. I had it, but I think I moved it. I had it, but I lost it. There's a part in the interview where Donald Trump talks about the people who run the country. I had the spot in the video, and then I lost it. But I could find it really quick if you guys bear with me. But he talks about the type of people that run our government, and I think it's very enlightening. You know what he says? I want to remove that for a second. I feel it's very enlightening what he says, and I think it's very eye-opening because it really gives you insight as to who's controlling our country. I think one of the biggest problems when people go to vote, or they refuse to vote, or they don't like to vote, or they think their vote doesn't count. I think people don't understand that who's running the country has such a huge impact on the way the country is run. If you have people who are risk takers and they're willing to try new things and they're open to new ideas, you're usually going to have a country that's more prosperous, new markets emerging constantly, an economy that's stronger. But if you have a bunch of people who are just doing their best not to get fired or let go, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a country that doesn't run very well. And so I think it was at the 17th minute, but I'm going to find it right here. Just bear with me for 1 second. So here, Trump, I'm gonna let this play a little bit because Trump kind of gives you a little bit of his qualifications for why he's the man for the job, and then he's gonna talk about his time being a Democrat, and then when he switched from being a Democrat to a Republican, and then he's gonna go into the talk about what type of people run America. What type of people run America? And basically, he's going to give you insight as to why America runs the way it does. And I challenge you to find me any interview from any president or politician that gives you this amount of insight on the way your country is run. And this is why I'm a big advocate of civilians running for public office. People who are not groomed, manicured politicians, people who don't come from a political legacy, but people who are everyday people, successful people. They don't even have to be too successful if you ask me, but successful people are great too, who are regular citizens, so we can bring that perspective into the conversation. So that perspective can be represented. Because I'm sorry, there's just certain perspectives or ways of looking at things that Donald Trump has that somebody like Anthony Blinken or freaking Mitch McConnell or Robert F. Kennedy or Joe Biden or Rand Paul or even Ron Paul, they just cannot see life. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, they just cannot see life from this perspective because they've never lived that way. One of the things I say about Kamala Harris, she just has never been like you. She's never walked a day in your shoes. Kamala Harris doesn't know what it's like to be broke. Her mother was an endocrinologist. Her daughter was a tenure professor at Stanford. They were rich. Her mother's parents were wealthy in India. That's how she was able to come to America to go to school. She has never been in your situation. From the time she went to college, she didn't have to worry about how she was going to pay her college fees, right? Like your kids might have to worry about it. And then once she got out of college, she never really had to look for a job. She was sleeping with the mayor of San Francisco, and allegedly many other well-to-do men in the upper crust of San Francisco's elite class. This is why she keeps saying, I was raised in a middle-class family, because that's the only connection she believes she has with you. And when you look at how she was raised and where she was raised, she was never middle class. She was never middle class. She's been rich and wealthy from the day she was born. So she doesn't know how the other half lives, our half. The only issue with Trump she has is he's way richer than her. So I want you guys to kind of, I don't want to ignore the part where Trump tells you who he is, kind of what he was doing before he decided to run for president. This stuff to me is important. And if this is going to sway the decision of anyone who's voting, lock in, what I'm saying? Listen in and get to know one of the people, because Kamala Harris is never going to tell you who she really is. And this is why I hear that polls they're moving in the direction of Trump, because Trump just got real. He sat down 3 hours, got real, told you he is all this history, stuff that usually people say, this stuff's irrelevant. It doesn't need to be discussed. He took the time to rewind for a minute, revisit things he's talked about dozens of times just for the sake of people who truly may not know and who may have their voting decision truly swayed by having a little bit more insight as to who Donald Trump is.
Who to appoint?
Well, I didn't. I had no experience. You have to understand, Joe.
So
I was there 17 times in Washington, and I never stayed over. According to the press, which I think is probably right, over the years, I was only there 17 times. I never stayed over. So now I'm sitting there, I'm saying, this place is gorgeous, but I don't know anybody. It's like you go to certain areas, and other areas, they may be great. Washington was great. Washington's not so great right now. We got to fix it. We got to make it better. A very dangerous place, very badly maintained place. We're going to make it great. We're going to make it better. We're going to bring it back. But I wasn't a Washington guy. I was a New York guy. I was a New York builder, and I built buildings in New York, and I knew that whole world, but I didn't know the Washington world too well. And all of a sudden, you're supposed to be appointing top people. So
what did you think it was going to be like? Versus, like, did you have any ideas of what it was going to be like, and what was different?
Well, I was always involved in politics, but usually from the standpoint of a donor. I was a donor. I was a big donor. I gave money to politicians. I enjoyed politics.
Mostly Democrats, right?
Both, really, pretty much both. I actually pictures of Ronald Reagan and me when I was very young.
You were a Democrat until like what year?
I was a Democrat. I could get you the exact, but the early 90s, I switched over eventually. Actually, they had a reform party. I was thinking about doing that for a little while, but then fortunately I didn't, because it's very hard. It's a two-party system. And anytime you hear third party, I know you like RFK Jr. and so do I. He's a fantastic guy.
I do, but I thought that being an independent was nonsense.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work because even if you do great, you're not going to get Congress. In other words, you need now to say, okay, now I'll get half of Congress that's never going to vote for you. So even if you got there, which is very hard, and I know how you feel about Bobby, and I feel the same way, and he's now with us, but it doesn't, it's pure and simple. It's a two-party system.
Right.
And I love this statement from Donald Trump. I'm probably going to clip this out and make this into a short. Guys, I'm going to start posting more shorts, so I want you guys to go check out the shorts that are already there if you haven't already. More is coming. I've had Opus Clip for months, haven't been using it. I'm going to start making them earn my $38, right? Because I'm going to start using that Opus Clips like never before. I love this because in our community, especially the Black community, you have these people who just cannot get the idea through their head. You live in a country that at this moment is run by a two-party system. You can have all the joy and well-wishing you want to, but if you give your vote to a third party, you are essentially not participating in the decision-making process when it comes to choosing leadership for this country. That plain and simple, that's what it is. You can make up whatever story you want, believe whatever you want, but when I heard Black people saying, I'm not voting for Donald Trump, I'm voting for Cornel West, I'm voting for Jill Stein, I'm voting for Robert F. Kennedy. Fine. Get them elected. They won't get a single thing passed. They won't get a single thing passed because of the wonderful system of checks and balances, right? But also that system can be used against you if you are not a person who is in one of the dominant parties, unfortunately. And the reason why those parties are dominating is because those parties are supported by the vast majority of American people. I hear Black people, we need our own party. Good luck. What does it matter? You won't get anything done because you're not going to get the votes you need in Congress to get anything to the desk of the president. And God forbid the president is a member of one of the parties or of the party that's against what you're trying to do. Remember, what did Donald Trump say about Van Jones when Us black folks, we were trying to get the prison reform bill signed into law or passed. Van Jones had to go into Trump's office and cry to him to use his connections to get Republican Congress people, 5 of them they needed, to go along with the prison reform bill so that it could pass Congress, make it to Trump's desk so he could sign it into law. Trump was kind enough to accommodate Van Jones, right? He actually called up some politicians. I think we discussed it on this channel. He called up some of the people he knew. One of the guys was a staunch opposer of prison reform. He was 100% against prison reform. But because Trump got him elected, helped him get elected, he said, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for you. So I'll give you this one. I'll give you this one. Listen to that language. This is in no way, shape, or form a charitable effort. Trump was owed a favor and used the favor he was owed to do something that only the black community wanted done. There was no other community advocating for prison reform, only African Americans. And Trump called in one of his favors to get that passed. That was by the skin of his nuts, right? 5 people they needed, and we couldn't get it done. And Trump made it happen. So I just want people to understand that this is not something that's we're going to do the right thing because it's nice and it's the right thing to do. This is a competition between 2 teams, Democrat, Republican. I encourage people find the team that shares your values and whose policies and legislative efforts fall closer in line with what you would like to accomplish in the future, and go with that team. I mean, that's what I did. All this extra you think is virtuous and third party and all that stuff, you're wasting your own time. You're shooting yourself in the foot.
And somebody, I won't mention his name, but somebody spent $250 million trying to get the nomination as a Reform Party candidate or whatever, and they got just nowhere. You get eaten. You just get eaten. The system eats you alive.
Right.
So it was really somebody that not only was new to Washington, but was new to politics. So in the office of the presidency, over the years, all those presidents, you've had 92% were politicians and 8% were generals. General Eisenhower, General Washington, right? General George Washington, you had generals. So it's 8% no admirals, 8% generals, and 92% politicians. You know, they're politicians and they go on. So they never had a business guy, or they never had a guy that wasn't elected to an office. They were all like Ronald Reagan was he was a movie actor, and then but he became the governor of California for, I think, 2 terms, and then he ran. So you never had a thing like this. But in terms of me, and sometimes I'd use it as an excuse, and I don't like having excuses actually, but I'd use it as an excuse. I had to rely on people that I respected or liked, but that I didn't know that well, because I didn't know them that well. Some of those people I campaigned against, because, when you have 18 people, we had mostly politicians running in the election, running in the primaries, and they got knocked out one by one. But I got to like some of them. Some of them I didn't like at all. I don't like them now. And I'd rely on them, and I'd rely on other people. So all of a sudden, people would come in. I'd like to recommend so-and-so to be Secretary of State. And I'd have 3-4 people recommend. One thing I can tell you, everybody wants the position.
Of course.
No, but sometimes I'll hear a lot of people don't want to work with Trump because Trump is tough to work with, et cetera. Let me tell you, everybody wants to be any one of these positions. They die for it.
Of course.
Now, they don't want to be known. I mean, there's a particular guy in...
I'm telling you right now, this is why they don't want Trump to be president. Donald Trump opens up, he opens the treasure chest of information about the government. He tells you the truth. What president sits up and tells you the intricate dynamic of Washington, how it works, right? He's making it clear to you. Trump, why did you appoint this person? Why do people come back after working for Donald Trump and then they hate him and they say all this bad stuff about him? He's making it very clear to you. These people are survivalists. Donald Trump is a multi-billionaire. They can't fire him. And if they did fire him, he's fine. He goes to some private island or Mar-a-Lago. He's hanging out, chilling, doing his thing, right? With his son, who's 6'9", dunking basketballs without jumping, and his wife, who's beautiful, right? But he's like an untouchable person surrounded by a bunch of people who are expendable, right? These people are doing whatever they can to survive. So when you see people who work for Trump going to a news network and they're bashing him, why are you even taking that seriously? He said he doesn't even take it seriously. He said he would do the same thing if he was in their position. Because whether or not they bash Trump, them speaking favorably of Donald Trump can mean the end of their career. And anybody who puts food on their table and feeds their family with this being their livelihood, it's very clear what decision they're going to make, unless they have some type of trust fund or nest egg, right? And they need to, and they don't have to worry about money, right? I think Keith Olbermann is one of those people. This guy talks so much shit about Trump. And I know Olbermann is a very smart guy. I used to watch him back when I used to watch MSNBC in 2008. I would watch Keith Olbermann and Matthew. What was his name? What's the other guy's name? The old white guy with the like messy hair. Matthew something. I think his name's Matthew whatever. But these people have to survive. And if anybody doesn't know, bashing on Trump was one of the quickest ways to gain traction in the media world. I mean, if you look over at Afro Think Tank right now, he's caught the wave. Dude's videos are going up. I'm happy for him. How did he get there? Was it talking about? It's not Matthew Mahogany, but Chris Matthews. Chris Matthews, that's his name. Think Tank caught the wave right now when he started making those videos like glazing Kamala and bashing Trump. People want to watch that. They like to consume that. And they're constantly every day looking for someone who's going in on Trump. It ain't about Pan-Africanism. It ain't about coming to Africa and being prosperous. It's about talking shit about Trump while glazing Kamala Harris. How many people have told you Kamala Harris is paying them to say good things about her? Thousands of people. I mean, the woman raised $1 billion in campaign contributions. She has all the money to pay everybody to say nice things about her. But Donald Trump is telling you, these people are survivalists, man. You can't really take what they say at face value. They're saying what they have to say to get a job on Fox News. They're saying what they got to say to get a job on CNN. They're saying what they got to say to get a job at MSNBC and keep that job. So you can't be, and so it's funny to me how the mainstream media has these like opinion shows. Is this really your opinion? Is this really your opinion, or is this just the opinion this media company is paying you to have? That's what I always wonder. That's why I don't watch those opinion shows. They're not authentic. You can't expect someone who's being paid to be there to be authentic. I mean, unless they're being paid to be authentic. And usually people like that are only there as guests.
New York, primarily, very big, very successful, very strong, very political, although he's not a politician. He'd give anything to be Secretary of State. But if they ask him, no, I don't think I would do it. But in the meantime, begging for it. Okay, begging. I
believe you.
Everybody wants it.
But what I wanted to get
by the way, no matter what you do, but it's very dangerous to pick somebody outside of a politician, because a politician's been basically vetted for years.
Right.
You pick a business guy and they've never been vetted at all, and they're, the head of a big company or something, but they've never been vetted. You know nothing about his personal life. You know nothing about where he's been. When you put him in, it's a little bit dangerous, because all of a sudden they get checked up and you hear things that you're saying, wow, this is not going to work out too well. So it's very dangerous picking.
Right there. I love this. I love this part as well, where Trump tells you why many times people who are outsiders in politics pick political insiders to run their cabinet, to be in their cabinet, or to run different departments. He said everything. I was in, where was I? Close to Beverly Hills. I was going to Daybird, right, to try that $90 fish sandwich that they got over there with the caviar on it. And I was listening to the interview and I was like, that made total sense what he said, because a lot of people were questioning Donald Trump's choices of people to be in his cabinet and to help him run his administration. It's like, dude, I can't just put freaking Chuck Norris as Secretary of State. You know, I can't just put Vin Diesel as the White House press secretary, right? That sounds cool in the minds of people. Tucker Carlson. Some people are saying Tucker Carlson will be a great press secretary. Just crazy stuff. Who's a tough guy? Yeah, he should make Mike Tyson a 4-star general. Like, you don't know these people's background. You know what you know about them, but you don't know what these people have done in the past, right? You don't know what these people have done in the past to where something that they've done could come back and hurt you. So when you choose from the swamp, basically the career politicians, one thing you know is these people, because they're elected officials, they've been vetted over and over and over and over and over again, right? People are constantly digging into their past to find any little negative thing that they can use against them. And you want me to tell you what this explained for me? Get your screen recorders ready. I'm gonna tell you. Give me a 1 in the comments if you want to know the epiphany I had when he said that. Give me a 1 in the comments. I want to make sure all of you are still with me. Give me a 1 in the comments if you want to know the epiphany that I had when Donald Trump said that. When he made it clear as to why he chose some of the people to be a part of his cabinet that he chose. Give me a 1. I got 1. I need 5 ones. I need 4 more. I got 2 ones. I need 3 more. I got 3 ones. I need 2 more. Let's go. Give me a 1 if you want to know. Give me a 1 if you want to know. I only need 2 more ones. We know y'all black and y'all stubborn as hell. Give me 2 more ones. I'll wait. Come on. Put the strawberry milkshake down. Give me a 1 in the comments so I can tell you the epiphany that I had. Dang, 85 people watching and I can't get 2 ones in the comments. Oh, you know what? Everybody's probably on a delay. Watch. They're probably all delayed watching, like 2 minutes behind. And then I'm going to get like all these ones in the comments coming up. But I'm going to tell you the epiphany I had because I know the other 2 ones are coming. This is why Donald Trump didn't pick Vivek Ramaswamy as vice president. This is why Donald Trump didn't even think about picking, what's the governor, Ron DeSantis as vice president. This is why. Because who's vetted Vivek? What rape allegations or whatever does this guy have in the closet, like hiding in the background? This is why he went with J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance was in a very tight race in Ohio, and those dudes were straight up mudslinging. These dudes were straight up mudslinging, and J.D. Vance's like story has been an open book for a long time. You know, he's been very transparent with what his like life is like, his family life, you know, his college experience and all that. And J.D. Vance was the person, I believe, that Donald Trump knew he wouldn't have to worry about any outside garbage coming in to the campaign impacting the vote. That's why he didn't pick Vivek. That's why he didn't pick Ron DeSantis. That's why he didn't pick the other guy, Burgum. I promise you that was the only reason. Because let me tell you, no one, I don't care how good J.D. Vance is, Vivek will eat J.D. Vance's lunch, dude. Vivek would eat JD Vance's lunch in a debate. Vivek will eat freaking Tim Walz's lunch in a debate. Everybody was like, pick Vivek, pick Vivek, pick Vivek. But Donald Trump had to worry about the optics, and he had to worry about the vetting. And you can vet somebody all you want to. You could be like, yeah, we checked his background. We, sent feelers out. But how do you vet somebody for rape allegations? Are there any women out there who may or may not have been groped by Vivek Ramaswamy? You can't. But I'm telling you, as sure as the sun's going to rise in the morning, as sure as it rises, it rises in the east and sets in the west, right? Soon as that guy would have got picked for vice president, some woman would have been recruited by the Democrat Party to say, he touched me in the morning, and then just walk away. You know it was coming. You know what's coming. So I like Trump's wisdom, man. This guy's a wise dude. I got no problem calling him wise. He's a wise dude. He's lived long enough. He's out here making these dudes out here playing 3D chess. And you're freaking playing tiddlywinks and think you got everything figured out.
Picking people that are outside of politics is somewhat dangerous.
So you're kind of stuck in a position where you have to pick established people. And then the problem with established people is established people are already indoctrinated into the system. And
they're stiffs in many cases.
Stiffs.
They're survivors. I find that,
What do you mean by stiffs? When you say stiffs?
A stiff, they don't have nothing. They have nothing. Or they're smart and survive. One little thing. So there was a congressman years before I ran, and I was very close to him. And I needed a license on something, and he was very important in getting the license. But it was a little bit controversial, the license, this particular thing that was being licensed. But I was close to this guy and helped him and everything else. And I went to him. I said, I'd like to have you help. And he said, let me take a look at it. I said, ooh, that's not too good. But I really hope you're going to help. And anyway, he tapped me along for a long period of time and ultimately didn't do it. And I said, you are a stiff. You could have done this thing so easy, etc. But it was controversial. He was in Congress for many years, like 28 years. And, there's a reason when somebody's there for 28 years, you got to be sort of smart.
Right.
You have all the scandals. And I realized he was a survivor.
And so they never do anything controversial. They never take any chances or speak their opinion that's outside of the. Yeah.
And yet I don't disrespect him for it.
So
I actually respected the guy more in a certain way. I said,
and man, we've all been there. You've been on the job. You're the hot new hire. Something happens. You see some racism happen or something you don't think is cool, and you trying to rally the troops. Man, this person doing this, and we need to go to upper management and blah, 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 blah. And those old people who've been there, they about two months from retirement. And you can't understand for the life of you why they are not as enthused as you are about calling out the management, the upper management, or calling out Brenda in human resources, how she be cursing people out when they go down there to see if they can get their check early. They're survivors, man. They've been in this place 29 years, 354 days. And yo young Gaston came in there trying to jeopardize everything, their retirement, their livelihood, all that, because you want to be turned up and be a social justice warrior at work. We've all experienced that. And Washington is no different. Washington is no different. It feels really good to make $300,000 a year and barely have to work and always be on vacation. It feels really good to be in that position as to be a congressman, man or woman. They're not just itching to jeopardize those positions. It feels good to be in charge of passing legislation and being in charge of how this country works. Don't you wish you could take October through February off of work and not do shit? They can. You can't. You got to be at work. You got to be at JCPenney's, putting those shirts on hangers, folding shirts every day. You think they're going to jeopardize that great position for you just because you don't think something's right or you think something needs to be addressed? Hell no. They have to have a really good incentive. And what I loved about, another thing I loved about this interview was Trump's transparency. You know, the other day they asked Kamala Harris, what's one of her weaknesses? Do y'all remember when Kamala Harris, they asked Kamala Harris what was one of her weaknesses? And she literally was like, well, my only weakness is this, and I don't even think it's a weakness. It's actually a strength. Basically, I don't have any weaknesses. Girl, your whole campaign is weakness. But she got on stage at that fake town hall and had the audacity to basically, in so many words, say, I don't have any weaknesses. I said, what the hell? Donald Trump has been president. He's leading her in the polls. He's a better candidate, hands down. They ask him, what's going on? What do you think are some mistakes you made? Trump's honest. Check this out.
I will say that it always comes back to the same answer. The biggest mistake I made was I picked some people. I picked some great people, you know, but you don't think about that. I picked some people that I shouldn't have picked. I picked a few people that I shouldn't have picked. And
neocons?
Yeah, neocons, or bad people, or disloyal people, or
people that were just
people
bad,
that were into the
people got bad advice.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, you're reading about them a little bit today. A guy like Kelly, who is a bully, but a weak person. You know more about bullies than anybody probably around because you deal with.
Man, straight up. Oh, neocons, yeah, some of them are neocons, some of them are just bad people. I don't, when I listen to Donald Trump speak, I don't feel like Trump is saying what he's saying maliciously, like to hurt you or undermine, your ability to continue to work in the field that you work in. I don't think he's trying to just like destroy you. He's just being honest about who you are as a person. Many people, you won't even mention their names, but we know who they are. Obviously, we know who they are. I don't see that with Kamala and the Democrats. I feel like the Democrats are willing to say absolutely anything to get power. They don't care who has to get hurt or killed or have their family life destroyed. Like, you hear Kamala, she's like, got nothing else to say. She knows she's doing bad. Now she's like doubled down on the Hitler rhetoric. Donald Trump is Hitler. Donald Trump is a fascist. He's going to put people in camps. She knows good and damn well that talking like that is what drives these crazy ass people to go out and try to assassinate Trump. She knows that. She knows that. Biden said it in his address from the Oval Office after the first assassination attempt on Trump. He was like, we need to calm down the rhetoric. You scare people. And sometimes when people are scared, there are crazy people. It's just like that crazy dude who got on that train in New York and shot up that train, that black dude, and said he follows the teachings of Louis Farrakhan, right? And Farrakhan came out publicly. No. We don't advocate that. And he's not a member of the NOI. Right. But what's going on, guys? The guy is crazy. He has a mental problem, right? He has a mental problem. And he's hearing what you're hearing, but it's registering differently. You're hearing it like, oh man, they just say that shit about everybody. That's just what they say, when they're not doing well. They got to go more radical and extreme with the accusations. You understand that. I understand that. But a lot of people, there are many people out there who are dealing with mental illness. They don't understand. They think this stuff is true. And you know what they do? They say, man, I got to go kill the president because he's a fascist and a dictator and he wants to put us in camps. And I can't let the president put my mama in a camp, right? I can't let this dude put my family in a camp. And they go out and they think they're going to do something to make, to save everybody, right? They think they're going to do something to save everybody. They can't differentiate between what's reality, what's not reality, what's true, what's false, what's being said like seriously and what's just being said in the spirit of competition. They're not differentiating. So when you say, oh, Trump's like Hitler and stuff, they believe that. And then they go out and try to hurt Donald Trump. Kamala Harris knows exactly what she's doing. And do they really believe Trump is a fascist? Of course they don't. I'll show you right here. Proof. Eric Adams, mayor of New York.
How individuals were exercised.
They asked him if Trump was a fascist.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. I wondered if I could ask you about any communications you've been having with the Trump campaign about this rally or otherwise, and if you believe, as others have said, that the former president is a fascist.
You know, I have been had those terms hurled at me by some political leaders in the city, using terms like Hitler and fascist. My answer is no. I know what Hitler has done, and I know what a fascist regime looks like. I think, as I've called over and over again, that the level of conversation, I think we could all dial down the temperature. And I've heard people say that the former president should not be able to have a rally in Madison Square Garden. I strongly disagree. This is America. This is New York. And I think it's important that we allow individuals to exercise their right to get their message clear to New Yorkers. And
yeah, so they use the same tactics. If Eric Adams is a Democrat. He talks about how his political opponent was literally saying the same thing about him. This is par for the course when it comes to Democrats. If you're beating them in the polls, if you're running a better campaign than them, you are a fascist. While they're taking millions and billions of dollars from Google, Microsoft, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, BlackRock, George Soros, but you're the one who's the fascist. Come on, bro. Come on. It doesn't make any sense. But their whole goal is to fear-monger people. Everybody, please do me a favor, like, share, subscribe to the content if you have not already. And please, we encourage you here to contribute to the stream in a monetary way. Please support the content that you would like to see the most. Like, costs you nothing. Share the video, that costs you nothing. And if you do contribute in a monetary way, we greatly appreciate it. We have the links to the donation vehicles in the comments. Cash App, PayPal, and Zelle. We have all the links. If you need the Zelle, let me know. I can provide you with the info for that. But please contribute to the stream if you are in a position to do so. Yeah, but it makes no sense. It makes 100% no sense what these guys say. Easily disproved. But if they can get you scared, if they can get you terrified of what might happen if the other guy gets elected, they win. Roland Martin said it himself. Oh, when it comes to black people, you can't appeal to them based on policy. You have to make them afraid of what the other guy might do. You have to make them afraid of what the other person's going to do. Let's play a little bit more.
In a certain sport where the bullies are exposed very quickly.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's bad. Bolton was an idiot, but he was great for me because I'd go in with a guy like a John Bolton. You know John Bolton. A friend of mine called me up. I was picking Bolton, and he's a very smart guy. His name is Phil Ruffin. He's a very rich guy from Las Vegas. He's a great card player. He doesn't play cards, but he's a great player. You know, he's just a natural. Got poker sense, right? You know, the good old poker sense. And Phil Ruffin is a very, very wise kind of a guy, and one of the richest people around, and has had great success and understands people. So it was in that I was picking Bolton, or I picked Bolton. He called up. He said, "Don't pick him. Why? He's a bad guy." Now, he wasn't in politics at all. He's in various businesses. He said, "He's a bad guy. It always works out bad with that guy." I said, "Oh man, I wish you told me this 2 weeks ago. I already hired him. You know, he's here." And he was right, but he was good in a certain way. He's a nut job. And every time I had to deal with a country, when they saw this whack job standing behind me. They said, "Oh man, Trump's going to go to war with us. He was with Bush when they went stupidly into the Middle East. They should have never done it." I used to say it as a civilian. So I always got more publicity than other people. And it wasn't like I was trying. In fact, I don't know exactly why. Maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, I could definitely tell you. You said a lot of wild shit.
Maybe. Maybe
You said a lot of wild shit, and then CNN, in all their brilliance, by highlighting your wild shit, made you much more popular.
Yeah.
And they boosted you in the polls because people were tired of someone talking in this bullshit, pre-prepared politician lingo. And even if they didn't agree with you, they at least knew whoever that guy is, that's him. That's really him.
Yeah.
When you
And I think Rogan did a good job right here of explaining why people are pretty much tired with the current establishment and the way things are run. People just want to be talked straight to. Trump is a straight talker. He's just going to tell you what he thinks because he's too old and he's too rich not to. He doesn't know how to not tell people exactly what he thinks because he's like an animal with no natural predators. He doesn't know how to tiptoe around something. He's just going to say what it is because he's not going to live long enough. He doesn't have enough life left. He don't got enough years in life left to be sitting up beating around the bush with people. I get it totally. And Joe Rogan made a great point there. And I wish a lot of times Rogan would have shut the hell up, but he was good in that moment. Now, I'm not a super huge fan of Joe Rogan. I feel like Joe Rogan's a liberal apologist. I think he still leans liberal. He was a big Bernie Sanders supporter, so I know he leans liberal, and I feel like he makes excuses sometimes or plays dumb when liberals will try to like advocate for policies that like destroy the lives of Americans. And one of the things I really don't respect about him is he was a person who kind of supported a lot of this crazy stuff going on in California. And then as soon as the stuff was no good for him, he just got up and left. Oh, I don't like it. I moved. Yeah, after you supported the shit for how long? That's one thing I'll never. Joe Rogan didn't even want Donald Trump on this interview. I think Dana White just like pressured him to do it. And then he did it. Because when they were talking about Dana White, Joe Rogan was like, well, he's one of the major reasons why you're even here. He said, I'm not interviewing Donald Trump. I don't fuck with Joe Rogan. Because Joe Rogan, to me, in some instances, is spineless. You know what I'm saying? And he's trying to, like, in my opinion, he tries to play dumb. I don't like people who straddle fences, and I don't like people who play dumb. They feign ignorance so they don't have to really reveal their position on things. I don't like people like that. Yeah, he likes Bobby Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy. I don't know. He's a liberal. He's a liberal. And he doesn't really, you could tell like he's kind of irritated by Trump, but then this is where Trump kind of starts winning him over. You know, and a lot of people are like that. They don't like Trump. They despise Trump, but then Trump slowly but surely starts winning them over. And then next thing you know, they're a staunch like advocate for Donald Trump. It's crazy to me. But Joe Rogan is one of those people. But I will give credit where credit is due. He did a great job in that moment. In that moment, he did a great job. Here's another part that I really liked.
Yeah.
0.1% for a bull rider. I tell you, to me,
You're talking death.
These guys that ride the bulls is worse than UFC. It's worse.
Yeah.
These guys that you see these.
This is talking about like how dangerous it is to be president. People don't really factor in the danger involved with becoming president. I mean, Trump has had 3 assassination attempts on his life. That didn't happen in the first run. Now they're after this dude. And Joe Rogan is going to do a good job of like telling us why they want to like smoke Donald Trump.
And attempts too.
Yeah.
And attempts. No, it's a very dangerous position. I never thought of that, by the way, when I did it. You don't tend to.
Did you just assume because people loved you on The Apprentice, they were going to love you as a president?
I figured it would be so easy. It's
well,
very
it probably
interesting.
would have been if the media didn't attack you the way they did. If they didn't conflate you with Hitler. I mean, even today, like Kamala was talking about you and Hitler. They're going to take what you said about Robert E. Lee. Oh, Donald Trump wishes the South won.
That's right. He loves Robert E.
They
Lee.
love to take things out of context and distort things. But
they don't even have to take them out. They make them up entirely. Okay,
they do
make
that
'em-
too.
But it's interesting when you mentioned the I was very popular, and all those people love me. I mean, some of these women, they're so stupid. And Joy, she would, every time she'd see me, I'd be in the theater or something, and she's, you have to be on the show again. Come on, let's go. We have
She
to.
loved you.
To love me.
That episode where,
By the way,
people should
Whoopi.
watch that episode just to see what we're talking about. Like I said, we don't want to get a copyright strike, so we're not going to put it up. But
It's okay.
if you watch the episode, it's bananas. It's like an alternative universe, and it's only
but Whoopi
9
loved
years
me.
ago.
Whoopi loved me.
you, gives you a hug and a kiss.
And how about that other one, the new one on there, the one from my administration? She writes me a letter. You're the greatest president. She leaves. She worked as like an assistant press secretary. I hardly knew her. But she leaves and she writes me this gorgeous letter. What's her name? She was, I don't even know, she was in the administration. She's on now currently, sits on the far right-hand side, whatever the hell her name is. And she writes a letter, the most beautiful letter. She's quoted in the paper. He was the greatest president, blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden she goes to the View. She started hitting the hell out of me because they won't hire her unless. I've had many people go on CNN and they call and said, I don't know what to do. They want to pay me a lot, but I have to be negative on you. I said, be negative. That's okay. There are guys on like CNN, they won't hire them. Sean Duffy is a congressman, and he retired. He got a good job with CNN, but he was only positive about Trump. So they kept him, but they would never put him on. I mean, I respect what he did. He could have gone, negative. I tell people, go negative. Let my friends make the money.
Well, it's just
so
Man, hey, Trump is such a real one, bro. Like that's real. Like, look, if you gotta bash me to make your money, go ahead, man. I'm not taking it personal. I see you, I shake your hand, we good and all that. The woman he's talking about on The View is Alyssa Farah Griffin, the fake Republican, fake conservative on The View. She has to talk trash about Trump to be on The View. Therefore, she does. She used to work for Donald Trump as the director of strategic communications for the Trump administration, right? When Meghan McCain left, Meghan McCain was a real conservative, but she wouldn't bash Donald Trump. She wouldn't bash Donald Trump. She wouldn't basically jump on board with these liberal ideologies just because for the sake of a job. So she ended up leaving. But Alyssa Farah Griffin, she replaced her, and she was cool with it. She was like, what do you need me to do? Who do you need me to kill so I could be a part of the crew of the cackling hands on The View, right? And she gets in there, she's talking bad about Trump, and Trump's like, yo, this lady, when everything was said and done, when we were leaving the White House, she wrote me this like love letter. You're amazing. You're great. You're this. She's like glazing Trump. And then she gets on The View and like he's the worst person ever. And then real Republicans, these are all actors, man. These are all people who are doing whatever they got to do to keep these job offers rolling in. And the funny thing is that people actually take these people seriously. And I'm just like, are you serious right now? You really support someone who would work for someone for 4 years in a high position in the White House and then get out of the White House and start bashing that person? That's like Chef Rush bashing like Barack Obama or whoever. You guys know Chef Rush, the chef with the big ass arms, bro, got the ginormous arms, the black dude. That's like him coming out and being like, man, Barack Obama's fate used to be staying. I don't know which administrations Rush worked under, but it's just like if you work for somebody and they treated you well, just leave it at that. But these people have no loyalty at all. He talked about Mike Duffy, as he said. Mike Duffy's not even getting on air at CNN because he refuses to bash Donald Trump. What the hell is going on? The press isn't supposed to be there to bash one candidate over the other one. They're just supposed to be there to give you the information objectively. That's it. Give me the information objectively, leave it at that. But now they got all these opinion shows and different stuff where they're literally joining in the fear-mongering of the American people. It's disgusting to me. I don't like it. I don't like it one freaking bit. We got two more highlights from this that we're going to talk about. If you want the whole interview, go watch it. Don't expect me to go through the whole interview because I don't even want to do that. But I want to give you guys at least an hour of us going over the interview, the things we like, we didn't like. Trump also said he will open the JFK and Martin Luther King files if he's elected. That's going to show you that the government had a big hand in getting both of those people killed, or allegedly. And then he also talked about I like this. Where people are like, this is what we're getting, this is what we're into right now, where he's talking about people are literally paid to be negative about him. When the mainstream media is paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to talk about you negatively, guess what? It's going to be really hard for you to have a positive image to anybody. And I always talk to my like liberal people I know. I'm just like, you do realize you're being programmed. You do realize you're being brainwashed. You don't really dislike Trump. You're being brainwashed into not liking him. They have a propaganda machine that's working on you every day, and you're falling for it. You're falling for it. But Trump, to me, he shined in this interview. There wasn't too many things said that I didn't agree with. And he just came off like a regular guy who is trying to, he came off like a regular guy who's trying to make America great again. And I'm telling you, when I'm telling you to how to look at this, and you don't have to listen to me, but just look at it like a businessman who feels like he's the best person for the job to take a company or corporation from the red into the black, into the profit, when we haven't made a profit for many, many, many years prior to this. And I'm telling you, you'll understand exactly the way Trump looks at this situation. You'll understand exactly why Trump's the best person for the job, and you'll understand why Kamala is the absolute wrong person for this job. She's never even owned a business. How's she going to run one of the biggest economies? Well, the biggest economy on earth. She can't. She doesn't even know. Man, she prays that they don't ask her a question about foreign policy when she's on stage because she doesn't know what to say.
No crowd, crazy too, because you're good at working a crowd.
I would rather have a crowd.
Of course you would.
Rather,
you're good at crowds.
But I had no. So they gave me an alternative. I don't think he won the debate.
Why did they want?
The thing you need is you need a free and fair press. One of the things I like about doing a show like this, can you imagine Kamala doing this show?
I could imagine her doing this show.
She'd be laying on the floor.
She was supposed to.
He's lying, saying he can imagine Kamala doing this show because he wants Kamala to come onto that show. But we all know you're not getting a 3-hour interview out of Kamala Harris, right? You cannot get 30 minutes out of Kamala Harris. Talking in an open conversation like this, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. And one of the biggest things I worry about is like, what happens when she goes in front of other world leaders and shows them how incompetent she is? But wait a minute, they already know. Remember when Biden was sending her to Germany, sending her to Europe, and she was on stage looking like an idiot in front of the whole world? They know that this lady is incompetent. But other countries love when America has bad leadership because they can get over. It's like when you was little and your mama was having a party or her friend came over. Shit, you know when he finished busting those cheeks all night, shit, you was gonna be able to do whatever you wanted from about the time you woke up at 6 a.m. to like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Mom was gonna get her back ripped off and be in there sleeping in a coma for like 5 to 7 hours, and you was gonna be on the loose running wild. That's the same thing. These countries want 4 more years of treating America like their own personal ATM. China wants 4 more years of being able to bully the shit out of Taiwan because they also have weapons manufacturing companies that they got to take care of, and they want to funnel billions of dollars to get kickbacks. Putin knows he can hang out in Ukraine for a whole decade. Guys, understand, if Kamala Harris gets elected, we will have went from withdrawing from Afghanistan to entering into another war conflict situation that has lasted a decade. By the time she's done with her second term, it will be 8 years. round up to 10, we will have been in new conflicts for a decade. Ain't it crazy how fast that time passes? We basically have 4 years of straight up war under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And if you elect Kamala Harris, you better be prepared for 4 more years. And if you elect another Democrat after that, you're going to be prepared for 12 years. And then 16 years and then 20 years. They started this shit in 2021. They started this shit in 2021. It's 2024. We've been funding conflicts all over the world ever since. Nobody wants that, Zarth. Shout out to you. Shout out to my boy, Life of Energia. Shout out to my boy in the comments. MJ Med J is in the building. Africa's TV. Shout out to you. Shout out to UFC super fan. That's that dude from Nigeria. Crazy ass. Nigeria first. Shout out to Sima Publicity. Shout out to everybody. Gabby. Shout out my girls in the building. Black Canada 93. Shout out to you. Who else? Shout out to Arlexis. Donnie Williams is in the building, y'all. I just want to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate y'all being here. Shout out to X Amatreus or Amaterasus. I think that's a new viewer. The Last African, shout out to you. Azael, shout out to you. Shout out to Hakeem in the building. We're going to play a little bit of this last little part, and then we're going to move on.
Supposed to do it, and she might still do it, and I hope she does.
She's not going to.
I will talk to her like a human being. I would try to have a conversation with her. If she did this kind of an interview
with you, I hope she does, because it would be a mess. She'd be laying on the floor comatose. You'd be saying, call in the medics.
I think we'd have a fine conversation. I think I'd be able to talk to her. I wouldn't try to interview her. I just try to have a conversation with her and hopefully get to know her as a human being. That was my goal, having her on, trying to get her to express herself just as I don't know if I don't think these formats are good. I don't think that two people, first of all, I hate the idea of the presidential debates because I hate the idea of a time limitation on complex ideas. Also, you have to break.
I think you have to have the debates, though.
Right, but the way they do the debates, I think, is the wrong way to do it. I think they should have a conversation. I think you and Kamala, you sit across the table with no one in the room but the two of you. Of course, you're not going to shout at each other. Of course, you're not going to insult each other.
I mean, it may.
They are going to shout at each other. You have to have a moderator. Do you think Kamala Harris is going to let Donald Trump embarrass her in a conversation on national TV? Hell no. Because within 5 minutes of her being in the room talking to Trump, you're going to realize she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She's not going to do that. That's why that's what I'm telling you. Joe Rogan gets on my freaking nerves, dude. Joe Rogan is one of these people who has like all this wishful thinking. And it's like, bro, you're way too old for wishful thinking. That's probably why your comedy is not funny. This dude's like, you think Kamala Harris misses I'm speaking. That one who made her name off of interrupting people or being interrupted. You think she's really going to go in a room with Trump and have a real conversation? She'll start screaming, you're Hitler, because that's what her followers want to see. Hold on, guys. I mean, who wouldn't do? I would do that if I was as dumb as her. All you're gonna get is straight sassiness. You see that when you watch Jamal Bowman's debates when he was running when he was the incumbent running for his district in New York. The guy tried to go straight sassy, man, and it didn't work. It didn't work. That's all they got, sassiness. I would not give them any opportunity to turn up the sassiness on me. I'm sorry. Keep those moderators in there. Keep their ass on point. Trump has to be weaving all night. He calls it the weave when he goes off topic and comes on back. Bro was weaving like a motherfucker on this interview. That's for sure. But nah, man, that's stupid. See, Joe Rogan, shut up, Joe. Shut up, Joe. Tell jokes and commentate on the UFC, dude. By the way, he wore his UFC commentator shirt. If you a UFC super fan like this, Nigeria First, you'll see he wore a shirt that he wears on the nights of on UFC fight nights. But yeah, she'll never do an interview like this.
May get they used to do it that way.
Wouldn't, but that would be the way to do it.
They used to do it that way.
To put cameras on you with no no one interfering with press with checking whether or not it's factual, especially when it's biased, because they checked you all those times and they didn't check her with clearly things that were inaccurate, right? So have two people just have a conversation with us without a time constraint. And also this idea they cut off the microphone.
Well, and no crowd. How
no
about
crowd, crazy too, because you're good at working a crowd.
I would rather have a crowd. But
of course you
I would
would.
rather,
you're good at crowds.
But I had no. So they gave me an alternative. I don't think he wanted to debate.
Why did they want no crowd?
Because
what was the
I
argument?
think they thought I wasn't going to accept it. So I believe what they wanted to do is have me not accept. So they gave me a deal I couldn't refuse. And I said, I'll do it. Okay. It's like the mob.
Right.
I'll take it. So they came to me. They said, we'll debate Joe Biden. You know, that thing got tremendous ratings too. That was crazy. But we'll debate Joe Biden, but you can't have a crowd. They also wanted sitting down. I said, that's the only thing. I said, look, you gotta stand up. You can't really sit down.
Right.
You know, in the old days they did sit down a little bit, but
he gets tired.
You got to stand up. And they agreed to it. It was a very tough thing. It almost killed it. They wanted to have like desks. We said. I said, I think we should stand up. And that was the only thing I asked for. I said, we got to stand up. I thought it looked bad for like the public, but they said no crowd and cut off the mic. And I said, I can live with it. I mean, I can live with it. And they thought I was going to reject it. And then they would say he didn't want to debate Sleepy Joe.
Right.
That's what they thought was going to happen.
Well, they tried to say that with you and Kamala as well. They tried to say that you didn't want to debate her as well.
No, but by the way, with her, number one, I'm leading. Number two, you know, they also said it with the primary. So I had like 10, 12 guys, right, in the primary. No stupid guys. I mean, you know, they're governors and they're senators. They're not stupid people. Some are stupid, but not all of them. And all my guys said, you have to be in the debate. I said, why? I'm leading by 74 points. The closest guy to me, I'm like 60 points, 70 points higher. Why would I stand there like an idiot for 2 hours and let every one of them scream at me? I'm going to be the focus. What?
Right.
And I said, I'm not debating. And it was a very smart thing because, you know, it was, they just killed themselves.
The Republican primaries.
Yeah, the Republican primaries. I like debating. I think you have to debate, but I like
it has
debating.
To be fair.
I like debating like the Rosie O'Donnell debate. I like debating when you have a crowd. Remember the Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah, it was very funny. Megan,
crazy
Kelly.
thing, Megan. That was a hell of a question, man. If I didn't come up with that answer,
it was a great line.
Well, what it was is, you know, we had 28,000 people. That was the Cleveland Arena where the Cavaliers played.
Right.
LeBron James. I'm not a big fan of LeBron James, but he is a good basketball player. But, you know, that was and when I said that, the place went crazy. And she kept talking. No, she had like 10 of the.
Yeah, well, Megan said you said it to other people and you admitted you did, but it was funny. It was a.
All right, we're not talking about him talking about Rosie O'Donnell, whatever. But basically, Donald Trump will crush Kamala Harris in any conversation that's unmoderated. Remember, I don't even understand how people could say she won the debate when it was 3 against 1, when the moderators were literally clearly going after Trump and just letting Kamala get away with saying anything. It makes no sense. This is not even comparable. I honestly think comparing these two people before the eyes of the American public is an insult. That's what I honestly believe. It's literally an insult. There's no way she won. She never even talked about policy, none of that. She didn't win anything. She lost 1,000%. She lost that debate. I watched it 3 times. There's no way. The only reason people think she can say she won is because she was sassy. But of course, black people are going to say that. We love sassiness. We raise our sons to be sassy. Son, don't be letting them. Oh, yeah. But she lost. She got destroyed. Absolutely, utterly destroyed. And if she won, why would she want to do another debate? Because she knows she lost. That's it. I'll beat the dog crap out of Joe Rogan. If you don't shut your face, there's no way in hell Joe Rogan will beat my ass in any fighting discipline, period. But anyway, don't even start. That boy will get dog walked. Come on, stop. She's hell no. But anyway, so she lost. So we gotta move on. If you want to go check out this interview, go over to Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Go watch it. You know, I don't really mess with Joe Rogan like that. because I just feel like I just don't like right now. If you ask Joe Rogan who he's voting for, I know Joe Rogan will be like, I don't know, probably voting for Kamala. Or he might say like Jill Stein or something. I don't like people like that. I don't like people like that. You know what's best. You know everything they're doing to Trump. You're literally telling him the things they were doing to him. You're literally telling them the things they were doing. You're telling him the things they were doing to him. But then you're gonna act like, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even associate with people like that. So that was Donald Trump's Pokemon. Joe Rogan, this bald head dude looking like a Pikachu. But then Kamala Harris, in a way only she can, evoked the power of her, she threw a Pokeball of her own. And she threw it, and out pops Beyonce. Beyonce, I choose you. This was her Pokemon, Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? Sarayance. And it wasn't, to me, as strong as the Trump the Joe Rogan Pikachu. Kamala continues, to me, to try to run what I like to call a hands-off campaign, where she doesn't really want to interact with anyone. She just wants to throw a bunch of things at you that she thinks you like, right? And she hopes that you will be dumb enough to just be like, yeah, I love her, let me vote for her. I'm telling you guys, don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. Do not let Kamala Harris have your vote for nothing. Because more than anything, I feel like Kamala Harris is trying to entertain her way to the White House. She's trying to use celebrity star power to get you guys to vote for her. And I'm sorry, but we aren't voting for a concert. We're not voting for a Grammy. We're voting for the president. We're voting for the president of the United States. And if this person who's running for president, if the only thing she has to offer you, if the only way she can connect with you is by constantly putting celebrities in your face, she's not the woman for the job. Dude, she had Eminem on stage in Detroit. Eminem, the #1 king woman basher, Eminem. Have you guys listened to Eminem songs, any of them? Have you listened to any Eminem song? When he's talking about beating women, killing women, all this stuff, now all of a sudden he's an advocate for a female president. Come on, Em, how much they pay you, dog? Just tell me. I won't tell nobody. How much they pay you, Em? Now she got Beyonce up on stage. She wanted another debate because she won. Ha! But anyway, let me play this. Because, Beyonce ain't no eloquent speaker. She's not that intelligent, y'all. She's not that smart. So let's listen to what she had to say. This was short, so this is not going to be that long.
H-Town.
H-Town. I can't win a Grammy for Best Album.
We are so happy to be standing here on this stage as proud country Texas women supporting and celebrating the one and only Vice President Kamala Harris.
So there are only women in there. So there's only women. We're proud to be here, country Texas women supporting the one and only Vice President. That's what I'm telling y'all. Kamala Harris has abandoned America. She's only going for the female vote. That's it. And I honestly don't think that there are enough females who downright support abortion to give her the victory. And even if there are some who support abortion, I don't think there are enough women who are dumb enough to just ignore the facts of the situation. I would love for a woman to come up here who supports Kamala Harris. Because if the only reason to support Kamala Harris is abortion, right? We know that. But guys, Kamala Harris can't do anything about abortion. Kamala cannot do anything about the Roe v. Wade being overturned. Roe v. Wade was overturned and it was sent back to the states. Donald Trump didn't do that. The Supreme Court did that. The Supreme Court is still in in the chamber. They're still in power. They're not going to change in 4 years. No one's like talking about retirement. What is Kamala going to do in 4 years about abortion or Roe v. Wade? What is she going to do? Anything that she actually gets passed, it's going to get vetoed by, it's not going to get vetoed. It's going to get deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. It's going to get thrown out. That's what's going to happen. Right now, the states are deciding how they want to handle their family planning situation, their abortions, whatever you want to call it. And they're doing that. And there's no state that doesn't have abortion, which there's just a few, that is so far away from a state that does allow abortion to where women need to be like, oh my God, I can't get an abortion. It's not even a real thing. It's not even a real thing. Right? But understand something. That's it. Y'all ain't worried about these wars that's going on. Y'all ain't worried about what's going on in Gaza. Y'all not worried about none of this. It's just all about women's rights, huh? That's how we run in our country. For one segment of the population's benefit while everyone else gets screwed. Hell no. Hell no. And I got no problem with women when they're on their back. But I got no problem with women in general. But this is America. Many people, two genders, obviously, many types of people make up America. And one issue should not be compelling enough for us to throw our country into chaos, and especially an issue that the person who would benefit from that issue, they can't even do anything about it. Kamala is lying to you. All these women know, I'm telling you, Kamala can do nothing about abortion. Her hands are literally tied from day one. Nothing at all. She can't do anything. So why does this woman keep lying to you, telling you she's going to fix everything with abortion? Fix the stuff you messed up. That ain't got nothing to do. Fix the border. There's a caravan headed here now with 125,000 people. And she's still the border czar. Unless Biden has appointed someone else. She's still the damn border czar.
A woman who's been pushing for what this country really needs right now. Unity. It's impossible not to feel the energy in this room, the positivity, the community, the humanity. We are at the precipice of an incredible shift, the brink of history. I'm not here as a celebrity. I'm not here as a politician. I'm here as a mother. A mother who cares deeply about the world my children and all of our children live in.
This is a lie. Beyonce's a damn liar. If Beyonce cared about the world that our children have to live in, she wouldn't want that world to get blown up with nuclear fallout. She would not want this world to be exploded due to nuclear fallout. She would not want to vote for someone who is a hands down, absolute warmonger. Kamala Harris is a warmonger. Everywhere Kamala goes, war follows. Kamala Harris incited that war in Ukraine. Kamala Harris won't do anything to stop Israel from killing people in the Gaza Strip. Kamala Harris won't do anything to stop China from threatening Taiwan. She likes the chaos. She benefits from it. Kamala Harris won't do anything to stop the drug cartels from trafficking hundreds of thousands of children. These people have lost 320,000 children. You're a liar, CLR. You back at it. But yes, he will. Donald Trump literally signed the act to stop sex trafficking on American Roads Act. He stopped that shit, which wouldn't allow cartels to traffic children into America. Yeah, I hate her music too. But the whole thing is, Donald Trump is the person doing something to fix this stuff. Kamala Harris is the person who doesn't care. She'll say anything to get elected. She has no leverage or no credibility on any other topic, so she just keeps doubling down on abortion. Are y'all serious right now? Are y'all serious? CLR says Trump won't either. So he admits Kamala won't do anything about it. That's all you need to know. You lose. You lose. Trump won't either. So this person admits that their candidate won't do anything about it. And I don't got to worry about Trump because Trump was already doing something about it and he's going to continue to do something about it. Beyonce is a liar. Let me give you one uninterrupted minute of Beyonce to see if your head don't explode.
A world where we have the freedom to control our bodies. A world where we're not divided. Our past, our present, our future merge to meet us here. Imagine our daughters growing up seeing what's possible with no ceilings, no limitations. Imagine our grandmothers. Imagine what they feel right now. Those who have lived to see this historic day. Even those who are no longer physically with us. Imagine all of their sacrifice. The sacrifices made so we can witness the strength of a woman standing in her power, reimagining what leadership is. For all the men and women in this room and watching around the country.
This is just 100% scripted garbage. We got to watch a woman stand in her power. So we're going to give up America to watch a woman stand in her power. Guys, it's bullcrap. If this woman was standing in her power, she would have handled the border. That would have been a great example of her standing in her power. Understand, Kamala Harris had 4 years to audition for the job of president. Kamala Harris had 4 years to make her case about being president, for being president. She chose not to. She was so unpopular that her own party wanted to replace her as the vice presidential, as the second bottom half of the ticket. They wanted to replace her. And now they're trying to play you like you're too stupid to know that. Like she's the best thing ever. Whoa. You guys were ready to replace this chick a couple of months ago. Now you guys are telling me she was the best thing ever? Does that even make sense? Does that even make sense? What up, Kofi? Kofi, I'm letting people call in, man. You want to come up here? You want to come up here and tell people how you still supporting Kamala Harris? Kofi, that's what I'm saying. Only beta males like Kofi, right? But it's not real. It's fake. It's fake. That's why, man, she wanted Beyonce to come to that thing and perform. Beyonce said, hell no, you're not getting a free show out of me. But she'll come up there and spew some feminist garbage because we already know Beyonce's a fake-ass feminist. She's been running the feminism hustle for a decade or more, over a decade. That's how she gets ticket sales. I'm a feminist. Girl ain't no damn feminist. We knew that when your sister was fighting with your husband in the elevator. Whoa, she got 10 million? Wow, 10 million. 10 million. Life of Energy, a shout out to you for the contribution from the PayPal. Hit us with the $20 holler. Shout out to my boy Hakeem hitting us with the $10 holler. And shout out to my boy JP from the LB for hitting us with the $5 holler. I appreciate that, my brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for contributing to the stream. And if anybody else would like to contribute to the stream, the links are pinned in the comments. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. 10 million. I'm not confirming nothing because I believe it. If she got paid anything, it was too much. But that's all Kamala has is money. And I really feel like the Kamala Harris campaign is a money grab for Democrats. So they could use the money they get to try to win back the House and the Senate. I believe she got 10 million. Why not? Yeah, she gets paid more than an actual concert easily. But this is what this woman feel like. This woman took in $1 billion. How much is that of that is she gonna help use to help the American people? Nothing. She's gonna pay celebrities. She's gonna pay Eminem. She's gonna pay Beyonce. This is look the same people who Kamala Harris is bringing on stage and paying to come to her rallies. Those are the same people she's gonna help when she becomes president. If she becomes president, that's it. Ask her one question. Greg Foreman asked this question brilliant as hell. Shout out to Greg Foreman. Will she extend the Trump tax cuts? I bet you she extends them. Remember the Trump tax cuts that she said was only for the rich? I bet you she extends the Trump tax cuts. I promise you. It's just like the Bush tax cuts. Every damn politician extended them. Barack Obama extended them. They all extended them, whether they were Democrat or Republican. I promise you, Kamala Harris will extend those Trump tax cuts because she knows if she doesn't, our economy is going to go into free fall. And she benefits from them. Don't forget that part. She also benefits from them. All of her rich donors benefit from them. She's full of crap. Beyonce's full of crap too. That's why I don't listen to her music.
We need you. Your voice has power and magnitude. Your vote is one of the most valuable tools, and we need you. Your freedom is your God-given right, your human right. Everybody say Texas. Texas plays a pivotal role to change the course of our future. Texans and Houstonians from
They didn't even say Texas. She said everybody say Texas. They say, yeah. She said Texas plays a pivotal. What the hell? These are actors, man. Go ahead, RF, in the building.
Hey, good afternoon. I just want to say this real quick. Beyonce, good performer. I don't like her music. She's a good performer, but as speaker, she is not. She can't speak. She didn't even graduate high school. A fun fact: Beyonce did not graduate high school. She actually got a GED, but she can't speak. She's a good performer. She should have just performed and just left it at that. But I'll just say that. But regarding the election, to me, it's shaping up like Hillary. It's shaping up like everyone thought Hillary had it in the bag, but election night, slowly and slowly, people had that sinking feeling when it just didn't work. So it's shaping up to be Hillary because when they start doing that glass ceiling and women this, we got to do this because it's historic. We got to elect a woman and this and that. That actually turns voters off. So it's shaping up to be that. But I do think it's going to be a close election. To me, it's a coin toss, but Hillary, it was a coin toss. So to me, honestly, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's kind of giving me that Hillary Clinton versus Trump vibe.
I think that is going to be a landslide. I think it's going to be like Obama versus Romney, where, yeah, you put in a good effort, things look good, but it's like building a house with no foundation. I just think Kamala, with liberals, I don't think liberals are like, you can only scare them into voting. And I just don't think liberals are scared enough of Donald Trump to be like, yeah, let's just hand the country over to this lady who can't string a city together, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she'll lose so much as people just won't. I think she'll lose, but I don't think people will vote for Trump in any higher numbers. I believe that people just won't show up for Kamala. That's what I think.
I think the issue is,
go ahead.
Kamala needs to turn out the black vote more than Trump. She has to overwhelmingly get the black vote. They have to be motivated to vote for her. Black people were motivated to vote for Obama. I don't think black people are that motivated to come out in the numbers that she needs to put her over the top, like in Georgia and things like that. I mean, it remains to be seen, but I don't feel that vibe just on the streets. So that's the difference. Trump, if he held what he held before, like he's always held, and she's not bringing in any new voters or any or overwhelming black vote, I don't think she can be pushed over the top. But I do think it's going to be a close election. I don't think Trump will win in a landslide because I mean she was set up so well. She didn't get one vote for president, and she landed in that spot. But the one thing about Trump, I wish at that debate he would have he let her go so many times on immigration, man. When he went off script, I was like, you got her. When they asked her about immigration and she talking about manufacturing, she pivoted so good at that debate. And Trump almost had her nailed dead to right, but he kept letting her escape. And I really hated that.
Yeah, I think Trump just, when he's in those debates, he gets so excited and wants to talk about so many different things that he just loses track of where he, like what he's talking about. But ultimately, you got a lot of people who aren't going to support Kamala just because their vote wasn't heard, right? They voted for Biden. They wanted Biden in. They felt like Biden was okay. And then she kind of took him out. Disloyalty. People don't like a disloyal person. And that's what
Right.
Kamala Harris displayed. Pure disloyalty, pretending like she loved Biden and behind the scenes was throwing him under the bus. That's one. Two, the woman just can't articulate well, right? Like she can't explain what she wants to do for America.
She can
She,
laugh. Yeah.
she just gets these platitudes are killing her.
Right.
And
Right.
I think American people are smarter than we think. Like, bro, look at the polls, man. Who the hell? There was an interesting part of the Rogan debate where they talked about the polls, right? And Rogan's like, "Oh, but the polls are showing this," and Trump's like, I never met a person in my life met a person who got polled. You
Same
remember
with
that?
Hillary. Showed the same thing with Hillary. The polls said the same thing before.
Keep going. You keep going.
Okay, I was saying the polls were pretty much saying the same thing with Hillary Clinton. When he was up against Hillary, hell, they had me convinced that Trump was going to lose. But as the night went along and those numbers came in, because you got to understand, this is our system isn't a popular vote. It's by you got to get the electoral college, and the electoral college said different. So it's to me, it's kind of the same thing. And I'm going to say this: if Kamala Harris had to go through a Democratic primary to become the presidential nominee, she wouldn't win. She wouldn't win. She couldn't get through a Democratic primary to win. And they forced her in there because, of course, black people, they say, oh, anybody that runs against her is a racist. If they come in and you say that, she can't be primary, we have to just give it to her. She would not win a Democratic primary. That's why they didn't want to even take it to the floor at the Democratic convention, because she would lose.
Man, listen. You said it all. I mean, there's nothing really I can say because everyone sees it. Everyone sees what's going on with this situation. And I don't believe the polls for an instant because I know those polls are geared towards donations. That's all this is about. Polls drive donations. Oh, my person is 3 points on top. Let me give money. Oh, my person is 3 points behind. Let me give money. I'm trying to find the part where they talked about the polls. Hold on.
Yeah, I watched that part of the interview where he was like, the
Yeah.
polls say different and whatnot, but you can't really trust polls. I mean, I mean, you can trust them to a certain extent, but I think just like when people say, "Oh, we're gonna vote for Hillary, we're gonna vote for this person," is I don't think you can just 100% trust it, because a poll is just a poll is not the electoral college. You can go, hey, who you gonna vote for? Who you gonna vote for? I mean, it's part of it, but it's not the whole picture.
Yeah, man. I want to, if anybody knows the timestamp for that poll where they're talking about the polls, I would love to watch that part because that was just, man, it was in the beginning. Was it in the beginning or the middle?
It's kind of in the middle. It's like in the middle when I saw it. But I mean, Trump needs to nail her on that carrot. It's like 200,000 Venezuelans heading towards the border. I mean, and I hope they get here before the election's next week. Shit, I hope they get here before the election.
Man, listen, I just don't think this lady stands a snowball's chance in hell. Let's just put it like that. And people say wishful thinking and he's going to be surprised. If the American people elect Kamala Harris president, let me tell you something. We deserve everything we get. Let's just put it like that. There's 120,000 migrants waiting to come into this country, literally coming because they think Trump might win. They want to get in before Trump wins, before he's sworn in. What the hell is wrong with you? And then the funny thing is, they support her because they're mindless, but they use the women's stuff as the excuse.
Right, right.
People don't give a damn about
Yeah.
women's rights.
This glass ceiling, we gonna break this glass ceiling. We got to do this because Hillary. When Hillary tried that, it didn't work, and people aren't just looking at that. At that, people say that actually lost her the election with all this, glass ceiling talk, like just kind of trying to guilt trip people into voting for you. Just what I mean. So that doesn't work. But I tell you what, if Trump does get in office again, which I think is to me, I mean, you're very optimistic. I think it's a toss up, to be honest with you. But I mean, he really better do something big on immigration when he gets back in office, because it'll be his last term in office. So I think he can do more than what he did the first term. But if he gets back in, he really better do something on immigration, in my opinion. The other stuff, foreign policy, I don't know. They're kind of to me, Trump, his foreign policy is good, especially towards China, but sometimes I just don't like how he would just like give a lot of stuff to like Putin and stuff like that. But I just look at the bigger picture. But as far as Kamala, I don't even know what her policies
I
are.
really don't even care what he gave Putin. What did he give Putin, really?
No, I'm saying what he will give him. I think that
Well, see,
I think that he would probably most likely sell out Ukraine if he got in office. He probably would bring the
why
war to
do
an
you
end by
care
saying,
about Ukraine?
no, I'm just saying, I'm
We're
saying,
not. We're
what
not
he
gonna
would
give,
do.
we're not going to give Putin anything. Putin, Ukraine, Russia, and Ukraine's problem is their problem. Ukraine ain't in NATO, none of that. The
Well,
fact
yeah,
that we sent these people
right,
over $200 billion is absolutely ridiculous. Ukraine is not an ally of the United States of America. Ukraine is
right,
the country that pays American politicians, including but not limited to Joe Biden,
right.
millions and millions of dollars to give them shit from our country. That's
Right.
it. To help them get profit, you get aid, foreign aid from our country. That is
Mhm.
where the relationship starts. That is where the relationship ends. It's a little cash cow for politicians. That is why
Well,
our government
yeah.
is so fervent about funding their war effort. That's
Well,
nothing to do
yeah.
with what's best for
Right.
America.
Well, it's the military industrial complex, because if you look at it, foreign aid isn't given to them direct. It's given to U.S. military weapons makers,
Foreign
and they're
aid
making the weapons to export to
directly.
Ukraine.
Foreign aid is given to them directly. Have you forgotten when Biden was on stage during the Obama administration, and he was
Right.
like, "We had a foreign aid package of $1 billion," and he
Right.
said, "If you don't call up the special investigator, you're not going to get the $1 billion." That goes directly to
Right.
them. That wasn't going to weapons manufacturers. I'm
Right.
telling you, they get the foreign aid sent to
Right.
Ukraine.
Yeah.
Ukraine kicks back to them.
Right.
They kick back to the Biden family and many other politicians.
Well,
So,
I don't know. I think
that's
it goes to particular politicians' districts, because they're the ones manufacturing the weapons, and to ship over to Ukraine. But if I'm being totally honest, the country that gets the most from the U.S. is Israel, whether it be direct aid, military aid. I mean, we've given them far more than we've given Ukraine. I mean, to me, Israel is they're going to set the world on fire. They're going to.
Israel is an ally of the United States, and
Well, they're
every
not a treaty ally. They're not a treaty
they are
ally,
ally.
unlike Ukraine.
They
They're
are
not a
a treaty
treaty.
ally.
We have no, but we don't have no treaty to defend Israel. We have no treaties with Israel. They're not an ally in the sense. They're no more of an ally than Saudi Arabia, as far as
No,
on paper.
no. U.S. security cooperation with Israel. They have they right here.
Okay, but
United
they're
States
not. They're not a
and
treaty
Israel.
ally,
Wait, whoa. RF.
right?
The United States and Israel have signed multiple bilateral defense cooperation agreements since 1952. What are you talking about?
Right. It's the same.
Mutual
It's but
defense.
right. Well, it's the same kind of thing they have with Egypt and Jordan and countries like that.
It ain't the
But
same kind of thing with Egypt because
well,
they don't
well,
straight funnel weapons. They
no,
don't.
we are the top givers of aid to the Egyptian military. We give them like $1 billion a year,
Yeah, but we don't
and
give it
Jordan.
specifically to the military though.
Well, yeah, it's direct military aid. If you
Well,
Google it, they were holding it up for like some human
it's in
rights bull crap.
a package, right? Because we give Egypt
Yeah,
about 3 billion a year or something
right.
like
And yeah, for the direct military aid, yeah, to them. But the Israeli, but back to to me, the Israeli lobby is stronger than any lobby in the U.S. I'm just saying, bottom line, to me, we need to stop funding them because I don't see any benefit for us in
No,
funding the Israelis.
I
I
don't
just don't
see
see it.
I don't see any benefit from it either. But there is a U.S. Israel defense treaty that is signed by both sides, so they are treaty. I
I
don't
have
give
to look that up. I don't know if it's a treaty to
a
like if Israel's attacked. We do come to their aid, but I don't know. Okay, I'll just take. I'm gonna have to look it up after I get off with you. But I don't think that they are a treaty ally.
Well, I'm gonna
Like
pull this up. This right here. I don't know if you can even see that. Damn.
I can see it. The Philippines are a treaty ally.
Now look at this right here.
Yeah,
U.S.
strategic partnership.
No, this says U.S. Israel defense treaty right here.
Oh, okay, all right.
See that has benefits and perils. You see that?
Yeah, I see it.
I pulled up the full article from the Hill. Yeah,
Okay.
we were a treaty ally with Israel for a long time. We the one who gave them that land over there.
U.S. Israel defense. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't
Everything,
see any benefit to me. Okay,
every,
all right. I just don't
everything,
see the benefit. I don't.
every,
I don't see the benefit.
no, I get it. Everything they're doing, RF, is we want them to do. You know that. They're
Right.
doing they're doing our little dirty work.
But
That's all
I
it's about.
don't. Yeah, but I don't see the benefit in us getting involved in that for a country like Israel. I don't see why our money has to go. All that money has to go to them to do these things. I don't see. And their lobby is so strong in the United States that it should be damn near illegal. That's just my opinion.
I agree with you. I agree with you 1000%. But I'm telling you, it's happening
Right.
because they kick back money to the politicians. Like we want to believe, oh, the Jews are controlling America. So the Jews ain't controlling anything. Israel is a country that says, look, if you give us this much, we'll make sure you get this much personally. These guys are getting rich off of
Right.
Israel. That's
Well,
all it's about.
well, I think it's more elaborate than that because I mean they get rich off of sending the weapons, and the companies that are supplying the weapons are saying, "Oh, you get this deal, you're in our district, so we'll give you money for your. We'll make sure that you keep some stocks. We'll make sure you do X, Y, and Z." So that could very well be happening. But as far as Israel, I just throw the whole thing in the trash. Like to me, it ain't worth igniting the whole war in the Middle East for Israel. That's just my opinion. Now, as far as
Yeah,
Trump and China, I do agree with his China policy. Them dumping all that cheap shit in the U.S. and the tariffs and things like that. Because I think Trump had China by the balls, and those tariffs that he instituted before he left are still in place, and Biden actually added to them. But I think Trump actually started the ball rolling, and he will continue that if he's elected again. So that's
I
their worst nightmare if he get elected with that and Taiwan and everything else.
I hope he does, and I hope he gets elected. But thank you, RF. I'm about to get out of here,
All
man.
right,
So
all right.
much
Hey, nice
for coming
talking to you.
up. Always.
All right,
Hey,
take it easy.
everybody, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's like 4 o'clock. I appreciate everybody who watched. I know I'm competing with the NFL football and the YouTube algorithm, so it means so much to me to have you all here. Have you all watching. Shout out to all my people on X, formerly known as Twitter. You guys make this work. Like, I know you guys see a low viewer count on YouTube, but we actually have 100 people watching on X, which is excellent. On via both of the Twitter channels. I appreciate that. So we do got people watching. I do want to get the YouTube viewership up. We need to get that up because we got about 60 people watching, or 55, between 55 and 60. We have more people start tapering off. That is fine. That is okay. But we're trying to get the views up. We're trying to get more people locked in, giving people more what they want to see, and just disseminating this information to the people who need to hear it most. And our people are big time because I don't know what's going on with us with this voting, how even half of us are even still, the majority of us are still voting for Kamala Harris. The majority of our voting black population is still ruled by identity politics. It has to change. We're the last ones left on this identity politics crap. We got to stop it. Thank you all for watching us. I appreciate every single thing you do. Until the next time, take care of yourself. But most importantly, please take care of one another.